Welcome to Ignite Success with First Coast Women. I'm your host, Snowden McFall, professional speaker, author, and coach. Here you'll meet fascinating women who kindle new ideas, spark change, and fire up our community. Today you're going to learn how one woman faced her fears and met great challenges to become successful both as a professional and an Ironman. You're also going to learn how you can have your own biography written and record your memoirs for the future. And you'll learn why values are so important to you as a leader and how to cultivate them and share them in your culture. And I'll share with you some tips and tools on visualization and how you can use them to further your success. So sit back, relax, and enjoy Ignite Success. So in today's Blazing Trail segment, we have a woman who has overcome fear to achieve incredible things, doing an Ironman challenge. She's now on Dancing with the Stars. And in her professional life, she's a fabulous attorney at Marks Gray in the immigration field. Welcome, Giselle Carson.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
So I know you've achieved a great deal in your life. How have you overcome fear? What has been the key to that for you?
Well, interestingly, actually, as I was thinking about this show and fear, we create our fears on our own minds, and I think getting past that can help us achieve a lot of our goals. And one of them is just start. Whatever it is that the end goal is, just take the first step towards that. And to me, even yesterday was getting over the emails and just calling you and say, okay, let's talk about what we're going to do tomorrow. And that literally saved me an hour and a half of worries. So that's an example of overcoming fear and get on your path to achieving your goals and actually optimizing your day, which is something else that you talk about.
It is. And in fact, you just made a fabulous point, which is we waste a lot of time in worry. So we don't want to do that. So you have done, I know you still run and you still do all these Ironman. I mean, you're an amazing triathlete. How did you get into that?
In a way, it was a way to balance my life. I was a late athlete, if you want to call it that way. I was born in Cuba, marathons, at least for females, that just didn't go well. No, that doesn't happen. If I would still be in Cuba, my life would be very, very different. But thankfully, I'm here. And as I was going through law school, so this is in my late 30s, because I'm a second career professional. It's very intensive studying, sitting down, and I just needed an outlet. Thankfully, my husband also needed an outlet because he was studying, and we got into long distance cycling.
Wow!
At the time, first long cycling was the MS 150, which we did many, many times. And then someone said, well, have you tried running? And made it a little challenge. And I was like, I'm always up for a little challenge. So took that on. And then someone else said swimming. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to do that. But, like anything else, you start somewhere.
You make a plan,
you follow a plan, you get people that have done it before. And you learn from them as much as you can. Follow the models, follow the people that are successful, that have achieved whatever it is that you want to achieve.
And that's a key point, is you can always find somebody who's done what you want to do. If you emulate them and follow their steps, you can also be successful.
Yeah.
And so, as an immigration attorney, I mean, you are yourself an immigrant, a very successful woman who's accomplished so much, award-winning. What drew you to that field, and what are you accomplishing in it now?
Yeah.
It's a tough one these days.
Gosh. So, and we were together at the Jacksonville Women Network Speaker Forum, and Siri Lindley was there, and she spoke about how challenges make us stronger. And when I got into the immigration field, I got into it because I'm an immigrant myself, two-time immigrant, Cuba to Canada, Canada to the United States. So I've lived the fear, the anxiety, the uncertainty, the changing lives. Just imagine just moving. When you sell your house or whatever, you move. It's a challenge. Your life is traumatized for a few weeks, month. imagine just moving to a brand new country, new culture. So I've done all that. So when I came to the United States, I thought, okay, and I went to law school. I wanted to use my knowledge, personal knowledge of my legal career, to help others achieve their immigration goals. Today, I'm thankful that I'm helping employers attract talent that we need in the United States. And U.S. immigration today is extremely complex.
Oh, very.
Very challenging, very uncertain. And when I mentioned Siri, and she said, the challenges make us grow. And truly, we have had to immerse ourselves. I've had to immerse on my team in immigration, down to the details.
Right.
Like we didn't have, exactly. So I'm a much better, because of the challenging environment, I'm a much better attorney today than I was 2 years ago, 3 months ago. I mean, I'm literally learning every day.
So it's continuous learning. And I know that you're a big believer in visualization.
Yes.
And you've got Dancing with the Stars competition coming up, which is helping raise funds for what organization?
The Jacksonville Children Chorus.
Which is wonderful. So, and you have Larry Augie, right?
Yes.
He's teaching? Yes. I've taken lessons at that studio, Social Affair. So how has visualization helped you in your life and with this?
Okay. So in my life, again, I'm a goal setter. So going to law school, visualizing what would that look like at the end, becoming an immigration lawyer, what does that look like? And literally now with Dancing with the Stars, and this is true, just yesterday night, and I have little videos, little clips of Ashley, who's one of the instructors, as to what I'm supposed to be doing or learning how to do.
So you see yourself doing it.
I look at what she's doing and I visualize myself at least doing some of what she's doing.
You're going to be great. So where can people find out? What date is the event?
It's April 27th.
April 27th.
At UNF.
And where can people find out about it?
At the Jacksonville Children Chorus website. Under events, there's a tab, and there is a Dancing with the Stars page.
And then isn't there a Jack's DTS?
Yeah, correct, actually, yeah.
JacksDTS.org? Is it .com or .org?
I don't know.
Okay, so we'll check that. We'll check that and have the right one for you on the website. Well, thanks so much, Giselle, for all you do, and good luck. I know you'll succeed just like you have at everything else.
Pleasure being here. Thank you so much.
And coming up next, you're going to learn more all about how people in this industry have an opportunity to grow and succeed through visualization. In today's Fuel Your Fire segment, we're going to discuss values and how important they are to your leadership in your organization. With me today is Dale Beaman of Beaman Coaching, and we are so happy to have you here, Dale. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much, Snowden. I'm so inspired by your work, and I'm so glad to be here and share a little bit about mine.
Well, so let's talk a little bit about your background, because I know you have significant corporate experience. Yes. So what is that?
Well, I sort of grew up in the corporate environment, was primarily in healthcare. And in fact, I spent 18 years here locally with Florida Blue.
Okay.
And was involved in leading a lot of different projects. And I knew when I was doing well as a leader, when I was not, and when I watched other leaders. And also really a focus was on teams. I led a lot of teams, and I knew when it was working and when it was not. It was just terrific learning ground for me.
Yes, okay. And so that led you, when did you leave to start your own coaching business?
I left back in 2002.
Okay.
And I left, I was really inspired that I'd been on my own journey of self-discovery, and I was also on a journey to really help teams function better, leaders function better. And I said, I was talking to one of the organizational development folks, and I said, I want to do what you do. And he said to me, Dale, you already do what I do. It's just that you're on the business side, because I was always developing products and services to bring something new forward. In fact, that's what excites me.
So I know that values education and values training and assisting leaders with their values is a very important part of your work. You get very fired up about that.
I do.
So talk more about that.
So I think it's really important to help leaders, but help us all to be able to what I call live and lead from the core. And it's about personal leadership for anyone. And then when you're talking about a business or a corporation or a nonprofit, it's about leading from the core, finding your unique identity. The core is really around core values and your unique purpose in the world.
And how do people discover, I do some of this work too, and how do people discover what their values are?
I love the word that you use, discover, because a lot of times people will try to go to aspirational values, which is something I want to be versus I am.
Right.
So we really want to get to the core, because what we know is really where our goodness, our seeds of potential are. So a couple of ways to discover that. One is to look at, where am I at my very best self? And what are the behaviors that I'm doing that are my best self? Another really fun way to do it is to maybe identify 5 or 6 leaders that you admire living or not, and look at what are their best qualities that you're drawn to. And just know you spot it, you got it.
Right, which I love. I've done a visualization exercise where people sit down with people throughout history who've inspired them, and what are the qualities that they have, and then it gets reflected back to them that they have the very same qualities.
Isn't that true?
Yeah.
And, I talk about them as seeds of potential, because you actually grow into your values more and more when you look at what are the behaviors.
Right.
And some ways to know whether it's right is to ask yourself, is this value really me?
Right.
Is this who I am when I'm at my best? Does it help me make the hard decisions? Is it a good filter for me?
Well, and I think that's so important, because I work with a lot of CEOs, and it often comes down to the decision of where we're going to go forward or not is a value-based decision. And the vision and the mission of the company aligning with those values, and is this next step going to align with those? So I assume that's part of what you do as well.
So true. And one just great example around that is the Tylenol story.
Yes.
And it was back in the 80s, so some may not remember that, but it was so powerful because in Tylenol they found cyanide and people died.
Right.
And just before that happened, the CEO had been going around to their offices and sharing the credo, which included their purpose and their values. And as the result of that, they made the hard decision to put customers first and providers first. As a result, they lost a lot of market share initially, but they gained almost all of it back. They changed the industry around safety caps. So it just shows the power when we're living our values, certainly at a corporate level, but take it all the way down to a personal level.
And they also really, use that as an opportunity to be of service to the public.
Yes.
And so they exemplified those values.
Absolutely. Yes.
So what would you say to a leader, a woman who's watching this show who wants to think about how to express their values more strongly as a leader?
So to express, first of all, it goes back to, I call it activation.
Right.
And activation only happens with that discovery process. And then to be trying them on. And it's a very reflective process to really check in with yourself. Is this truly me? And so every day it's asking yourself, even at the end of the day, how did I live these values today? How do I want to live them more tomorrow? And one way to know is that, am I feeling fulfilled? Am I feeling that, am I feeling at the end of the day that I've done my best? It's a good way to know.
And I think when you're off value, your stomach drops. You know that you're way out of alignment.
You know it. And also you get that what's called the resentment flu.
Right.
Yeah.
So how can people reach you to work with you?
Great. So you can reach me through my website, which is beamancoaching.com. And of course, I work from a coaching perspective, but also working to develop high-performing teams and building thriving cultures.
Thanks so much for being with us, Dale. We so appreciate it. Coming up next is our Success Sparks, where you'll learn how you could have your own biography written. Have you ever thought about having a biography written about your life? Well, you could do that with this phenomenal woman who's with me today, Susan D. Brandenburg. Susan, welcome.
Thank you.
So how many biographies have you written?
I'm on my 40th manuscript.
Wow, 40 books. Now I'm on the middle of my 7th, so I can't imagine 40. That's incredible. For over how many years?
It's really been probably about 12 years that I've been writing biographies.
Wow, that's incredible. So some of those you did 2 or 3 a year then, if you've got on the 40th.
Yes.
So what is that whole process like? What's involved with doing someone's biography?
It's become kind of a ministry, actually, Snowden. People contact me, and they want their story written. They've had great success in life, and they want to be remembered, and they want their grandchildren and great-grandchildren to know about them. And each book is completely different. The process is completely different.
It is. So you don't have a standard. You sit down with them and interview them. There's not any kind of standard process.
I do interview them from the very first interview to the book in hand, because I am also Susan the Scribe Inc. Publishing.
Okay, great. Okay, so you publish the books as well. So most of these books are memoirs for people to pass on to their families.
Yes.
Is that right? Okay.
Yes. Although I am doing a couple of business memoirs as well.
And what will the application of those be?
A history of the business and interviews with all of the key people.
How wonderful. So that will be spread throughout the company, and the employees will get to read it. So what have you learned through the process of writing all these biographies?
I guess the biggest lesson is that the teacher will be taught. Yeah, I become so much a better writer than I started out. I was a columnist for the Times-Union and for the St. Augustine Record and Women's Digest. And I wrote weekly columns about good things about good people. And so it prepared me for what I do now.
But so how did it change you with biographies? You said it really made you better. How?
I've learned that there is no such thing as an ordinary person. Everybody has a story. And I've had the privilege, the words have given me the in to extraordinary lives.
And seeing the challenges, the ups and the downs, and how they got through them.
That's right.
And has it changed you inside as well?
Yes. There's one thread that runs through all of the books that I write, and that is tenacity. Never give up.
The persistence, the keep going no matter what. Yes, I love that Winston Churchill quote, never, 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 never quit.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
And I know that you were personally moved by the book Guts, correct?
Yes. Yeah, I would say Carlton Spence is my mentor. And he's been my mentor since I wrote his book in 2008.
Wow.
And I was asked to go to an exchange club and speak about my career, and I had just finished Guts, and I decided to give Guts an acronym. God's Ultimate Training School.
Oh.
And there are 3 rules. Rule 1 is it's God's money. If you do the right thing with it, He'll give you more.
Okay, I like that.
And rule number 2 is, as my grandmother used to say, life is never easy, but it can be beautiful. And rule number 3, mandatory attendance. You cannot skip school.
Right.
But the graduation is heavenly. So that's my little Guts sermon.
Oh, that's wonderful. And so what in particular do you feel like he taught you?
Carlton his book Guts is all about tenacity, and it's all about no matter what is said about you, no matter what life hands you, keep going. And Carlton he's in his 80s now, and you'd never know it. He'll never retire, and he's just a remarkable man, like most of the people that I have written about.
I can imagine. So what advice would you give to someone who's thinking about having a biography written? What might they do to start preparing that?
What Carlton did, which I think is very good advice, he divided his life into decades. Between this year and the year I was born and when I was 10, then from 10 to 20, and that was one very good way of kind of doing a timeline of his life.
Do you ever have people who do things like, here are the major milestones in my life, and target it that way?
Yes. Yeah. I teach a class at UNF for the OLLI program, the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute.
Wonderful.
For 55 and older.
Okay.
And that's one of the things that I do with them, is try to help them. I don't teach them how to write. That's something that they all usually know by the time they're at 55. But I encourage them to do a timeline.
So if someone wanted to hire you to do their biography, how would they reach out to you?
My name's all over the place.
Well, what's your website, Susan?
It's Susan the Scribe at web.com.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here. I know you've inspired so many. You've inspired me. And keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me on.
Oh, it's a pleasure. And coming up next, I'm going to share with you all about visualization and how it can help you be more successful. Have you ever watched an Olympic athlete get their gold medal and wondered, wow, how did they make that happen? Well, of course, there's lots of training and coaching and years of practice. But beyond that, there's a special secret that all Olympians know and use, and that is visualization. In today's Keep Your Fire Burning segment, I want to share with you how visualization can make your life better and help you achieve a greater level of success. I was struck in the 1980s when I heard that 75% of training time for East Germans and Russians was spent visualizing their success, and only 25% out in the field. That amazed me. 75% of their training was in visualization. That's how powerful visualization is. Ask any Olympian and they will tell you that they use it religiously. Lindsey Vonn, gold medal winner, skier, says that before she ever gets on the course to compete, she's already run the course 100 times in her mind. She knows exactly where the turns are. She even pictures her body moving in a certain direction, and she has seen herself winning, and she does. Jim Carrey wrote himself a check in the early 1990s. It was for $10 million, and the note at the bottom said, "For services rendered as an actor." In 1995, he received 2 $10 million checks. Oprah Winfrey has long proposed that you try and be the highest and best version of yourself, that you get a vision of that so clear and that you live your life with the intention of becoming that. And in Jack Canfield's book, The Aladdin Factor, he shares the story of a Louisiana millionaire who wanted to make a difference in his local community. He picked an impoverished school where the children were dropping out at the rate of 84%. And he decided he was going to make a difference. He told them that if they stayed in school 95% of the time and did well, he would pay for their entire college education. And then he did something very special. He set them up for success. He took them all on a college tour where they got to sit in classrooms, walk the campus, meet the students, and act as if they were already living that dream of going to college. And then every day when they got back to school, every day their teacher would lead them in a guided visualization in the morning where they would picture themselves having the experience of being in college and being successful. The results are pretty astonishing. The dropout rate went down from 84% to 20%, and hundreds of students had their college education paid for. That's how valuable visualization is, and you can use it in your life. If you have your own company or you're in any kind of sales, you can visualize your success before you go out to that big pitch where you're hoping to land a huge account. You visualize yourself succeeding. You visualize yourself walking in with confidence, knowing your material, connecting with the decision maker, smiling and they're nodding, and you're asking them questions and they're asking you questions, and you're seeing them write you a contract at the end, signing the contract and writing you a check. And you visualize yourself as you go out the door and you see yourself raising your hand and saying, yes, I got that account. You picture all of that and you set yourself up for success. Dream collages are another way to do that. On your screen, you see a picture of the very first dream collage that I did back in 1989. And I want to tell you that everything on that collage came true within 2 years. I wanted to get married, and I put down the best man ever. And I did marry the best man ever for me. I bought that sailboat with him years later, yoga, travel. But the thing that was most astonishing was what happened with my career. I'd put in the upper left-hand corner, your brilliant career, women to watch, and high-profile creativity. I want you to be as successful and joyful as possible. I know that visualizing your success will help that happen, and using a dream collage can help you keep your fire burning. This is Ignite Success with Buzz TV. Today you've had the opportunity to learn all about overcoming fear and reaching new heights as you take on new challenges. Giselle Carson shared with you about her Ironman competition, how she's working with immigrants, and how Dancing with the Stars is her newest challenge. You also learned from Dale Beaman why values are so important to leaders and how they can make such a difference in your corporate culture and how to discover them. Susan Brandenburg, who has written 40 biographies of people, has shared what the process is and how you could have your biography written. And I've shared with you some tips and tools on visualization and how you can apply that to your life with your own dream collage or vision board. This show is for women and about women. We have a special event on May 19th where we're honoring women who ignite success in Jacksonville. If you have a woman in mind that you'd like to nominate, please go to our website and look for the Women Igniting Success link and put your nomination in. Hope that you've enjoyed this show and that you'll use these tips and tools to ignite your success.